Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Apparent Voice. This is our Friday show. And I am your host, Bernita Bradley, with two beautiful co hosts today who are here to help me start some good trouble for
That's
Detroit.
right.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So we have Kelly Williams Bolar and we have Christina Laster, and I'll let them formally introduce themselves in just a moment. But first, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you to the National Parent Union for sponsoring this show and for always sponsoring advocacy and support for families. I did want to acknowledge that we are still running our campaign for Every Family Votes. So reminder, like we are now less than 2 months from a vote, and we need families to be preparing to vote, sending your absentee ballots, whatever you are need to do. If you haven't got one, contact your local Secretary of State and find out what you need to do to vote. If you have young people in your household who needs to do that, make sure that they are voting, okay? Make sure that you are out there doing what you need to do. There's a lot of campaigns going across the country. I would like to say today Trump came online, and y'all may have seen me post that he called Puerto Rico those good people. He was like, it's a good place, and they've been seeking help for a couple of years and nobody's been helping them. I'm like, you haven't been helping them? But anyway, he was like, I'm gonna get it done for Puerto Ricans. And I'm like, dude, stop while you're ahead. So anyway, you may hear my grandson in the background jumping and all this kind of stuff.
Hey,
But
grandson.
right. But yeah, so we need people like Michelle Obama said, he is not a good fit for this country. And that goes to our city also, right? There are people who are in leadership who are not a good fit for our communities. They don't speak for our communities, they don't represent our community. And that brings me to the topic of today's show. As a lot of people may know in Detroit, especially parents, Corletta Vaughn, who sits on the board for Detroit Public Schools, has slandered parents for the last couple of weeks. Now, I would like to be totally transparent that about a month and a half or two ago, I made a comment about Detroit Public Schools and them needing to make sure they inform families. And she came at me on a post, and I invited her on the show. I was like, hey, let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about it. Because the reality is Detroit parents need to be involved in the conversations and the planning of how schools are reopening. And parents had concerns and they need to be addressed. She did promise me she would come on the show, and then so that hasn't happened. So I do want to be totally transparent that this is nothing based on her not coming on this show, because I've had plenty of people who were not able to come on this show. But what this is about is the other week when school opened. So let me backtrack. About 3 weeks ago, school parents were asking questions. They've been asking questions. These questions have been legitimate. I don't have my child's code. I don't have my child's laptop. I don't know how to access such and such. What are we going to do? I don't have my child's schedule. What school will my child be in? They were asking quite legitimate questions, right? Like, no question is a wrong question. If a parent's asking, answer it, or find them the person who can answer it. And Corletta kept coming back and telling parents, give them grace, right? Everybody around the country has heard this, give them grace, give them grace. Oh, educators are going through, the school systems are going, oh, Dr. Vidi's going to tell you all of that information after the first. Be patient, be patient. And this was her conversation on one of the Detroit public school parent sites on Facebook. And so people were like, yeah, but this is legitimate. Like, what am I supposed to do the first day of school? But she just kept pushing them back. Well, the first day of school, she came on with this. I would like to share my screen for one moment. And I know I got to get my guests, my co-host introduced, but I want to announce this first because when they get started, it's going to be a wrap. And I want it to go where it's going to go. So this is what she shared. Now, I hope people can see it. But it says, just looking at the interior of homes. So first she's talking about on Zoom calls and the interior of people's homes. Children unprepared and unattended, proper supervision at home of children and background interference. Parents, we must expect more from you. if visual is really going to work. So this is not the only, this is not the only thing she posted. She talked about parents. She talked about kids and things she heard on people's Zoom calls and all of this kind of stuff. And parents were like, hey, stop it. Like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And so I'm gonna stop right now because I'm gonna end up talking a long time and I want to introduce my co-host. So Christina Laster, go ahead, introduce yourself,
Like, I
love.
gotta fix my glasses for this one, okay? Because that parent blaming and just incompassionate, non-compassionate perspectives, like, it may seem on the surface like what she's saying has some validity to some people, right? But then when you dig a little deeper, where is that coming from, right? Like, are you really looking at the whole family and the whole perspective of what is happening and what is taking place and how we all are in our households trying to shuffle around and make this work? And really, how did you provide support? Did you guys provide additional supports, right? Like, it's just not okay that parent shaming, blaming, protect their privacy of their households too. You don't know the parent situation. You might have some parents that were disabled, and are limited in their mobility or limited in their ability, and that's just straight up blatant. You cannot slander and defame parents. It's a intimate space. Our homes are our sanctuary. Now we've had to transform those spaces. And I'm a homeschool mom. My space was already transformed, but that didn't mean you had a glimpse into everything that happened in my home, right? And so, as this being my sanctuary space, knowing that I'm going to educate my kids, I have a particular place where I do that. Parents that are new to this landscape, are doing the best they can. Did the kids sign on? Guess what? Parent involvement, okay?
Yeah.
Stop shaming and blaming the parents and the kids. You do something to make it work better, right? What is your responsibility, right? If you find that there is a lack of childcare, provide some services. What can you do, right? Because everybody's trying to make it do with what they do. My name is Christina Laster. I already done got it a little heated up about Miss Cordeletta today. I am the National Parents Union Director of Policy and Legislation. Here to support the authentic voice of parents. And I hope you guys are all well today on this beautiful Friday, out here trying to make it happen in California with these California wildfires. But we got a parent wildfire that we need to start too.
That we need to diffuse. And yes, and this was so serious for Christina that literally she put a view of outside of her window, like less than a mile from her, you can see wildfires, right? But and I so thank you for being on here, right? I really do. And the reality is, like, people don't get to shame our parents. They don't get to, you don't get to talk about parents. Like, parents have been penalized for everything, right?
And blamed.
And blamed for everything that is going wrong, right? So no, you don't get to do it. So let me go ahead and introduce Kelly. Go ahead, introduce yourself, young lady.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Bernita, so much. You are so sweet. I mean, like, I didn't even know I was coming. I'm so excited to be on tonight. And Christina, I totally hope that you are staying safe, which I know you are, because I know you got your babies and stuff to look after. But yeah, so I'm just happy to be on today and to talk about voting and what's going on and why it's so important for us to vote. It's our choice, it's our voice, it's our reason. And you have to look at what's going on out here. Like, our children, like you said, we have to accommodate with what's going on. I teach from the classroom at home. I have to accommodate. I have to make sure my environment is conducive. I'm totally in a corner here, you know what I'm saying, in my little house, but we have to make it work. And you know what I'm saying? And I'm still a mom, I'm still a parent, but we just have to make it work. So I definitely wanted to squeeze that in and talk about how moms, parents, our votes totally matter. So
Yeah.
but go ahead.
And Kelly, if you had something out of place in that little corner where you 1 day or 2 days, 3 days decided, well, I got this thing that's out of place over here, you don't want to get bashed for it.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. And the parents don't, the children don't. You have to say, listen, this is what we're dealing with right now.
Right.
No one bashed the schools when they had the ceilings leaking.
And no dirty
for 30 years. Okay. So come on.
And dirty water.
And dirty water.
Detroit, we have had so much of this, like this parent shaming thing in our schools, like everywhere where Black and brown kids are. You keep failing our kids, right?
Absolutely.
But then you expect parents to just sit back and just be like, oh, well, we understand. Like the pandemic has been going on for how long? Since March here, what that we know of, right? That's another conversation.
Well, on record. Right.
I'm not getting into the medical aspects of this thing, y'all.
Right.
Definitely the legislative, but not the medical, right?
So, but it's been going on since March, and it's been proven that kids were not interacted with on Zoom and things like that in some of the hardest hit communities. And then for a parent to put their child on to Zoom for a class and a board member to come back and say something like, let me come in your closet. Let me dig around, what they said, let me sweep around your front door. Let me come and look through your house and look through your bio pages of your real history in life.
Right.
All your catastrophic things that you've done, and then go on social media and blast it out.
Right. And what is your role? Are you a child protective services worker? Are you a social worker? Are you a pastor? Are you a school board member? Like, what role are you in? Are you talking as a grandmother? Like, you need to delineate that when you come with your conversation, because apparently you done stepped into many lanes when you're doing that, okay? First of all, what we can say, maybe not give a date to the pandemic, we're not going to touch that medical stuff today, because I'm not a doctor. My MBA is business, right? Master's in Business Administration. But what I am going to say is that the children were already ill-served prior to COVID. How about we address that?
Yes.
How were they served prior to COVID, and why now, as the parents have had to transition and shift into multi-layers of what type of education their children are going to receive, and are noticing that their children cannot read or write, how are you addressing that, right? Do they get that time back? Can they get their money back? Because they sat in classrooms for years prior to this date of your rollout of your virtual learning plan, where you want to blame them for dirty homes. But I'm addressing the school board member directly and the whole entire school board. But prior to that, what were you doing to make sure measurable outcomes were taking place? Exactly. How were you making sure that 12th graders were graduating beyond the 3rd grade reading level? Because I'll tell you, I've helped people with complaints out of Detroit. It ain't cute, right?
Yeah.
It's that perpetual, cyclical, generational thing of oppression. And we're looking at education as a mode to freedom from oppression, while you're continuing to cyclically oppress the same groups of people.
Yeah.
If a 12th grader graduates and can't read or write, and you want to blame a dirty house on that, you got a problem, not the parents.
Yes. And to sit there, so she came back, and her comeback was that parents, we're demanding excellence. We're demanding excellence from parents. Like, we want to, when children rise, we rise, and that's the new motto for Detroit Public Schools. And I agree, when children rise, we all rise. But who are you to deem excellence in somebody's house? You don't know if somebody's staying in a homeless shelter.
Right.
You don't know if somebody is staying with 13 other family members in a 1-bedroom apartment. You don't know what's going on. So she came back and she would ask people questions, and she was like, she was like very condescending. I got a ton of posts that I could show you, right? We started screenshotting, like people were just calling one another, like, do you believe this woman? Do you like the conversations that were going on behind doors? People were livid. People were livid, right? So I end up contacting somebody from DPS, and I'm sure other people did. And I told them, you are going to lose seats. You're going to lose families after this one, right? People, you better get this under control or you're going to lose some people. Like, rightfully so, parents going to leave anyway, but this is going to really force them out the door. So she erased the post, but people had already screenshot. So people were coming back sharing. Right. Like what you put on social media is there, right?
You left your digital fingerprint.
It's your digital.
Yep, it's over.
Right. And so, but then she came back with this apology. She said in front of a camera. Now, mind you, there's another comment that was shared where somebody said you should do a public apology, blah, or she was talking about it or whatever. And they said, I will help you write a script. And so she was like, let's do it. So that right there let people know the apology was scripted. And then as she was doing the apology, it wasn't a genuine apology. It was scripted.
Well, you know, go ahead, Kelly. I see you about to talk. Y'all know I can talk about this until the sun go down.
It wasn't authentic. And when it's not authentic, it's not, people know when you're authentic or not. And when you're genuine, like you said. And like you said, even grandparents are very engaged in their children's lives, especially right now. The percentage of grandparents that are involved in what's going on with our children and the online learning and trying to, keep house over them and make sure everything is okay. I just wanted to say that point too, because I know I had mentioned it earlier. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
So they can barely. Kristen, you can hear me? Can you guys
I can hear you a little bit. Can you hear Bernita?
I can hear her. Maybe turn your computer up just a little bit, maybe.
Mine's is up loud. I'm sorry,
y'all.
No problem. Okay.
Interrupting this live broadcast. No.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Is it better?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying that, I was just mentioning what we mentioned earlier, and I just kind of wanted to put a little bit more emphasis onto that, and just saying, people know when you're authentic. People know when you're real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're coming off real or not, or like she said, scripted, or you got someone else saying something for you. No, you in this position. Tell us help us. Not you see what's going on in our communities, in our homes, with our parents, with our children. I mean, every day I'm dealing with children, and these kids need so much. Like they don't even want to turn their video on because they're not comfortable in where they're at. They're not comfortable in their environment. So all you see is the icon. And then, as a teacher or as a profession, when we're working in this environment, we are to tell our students, you must turn your lights or your camera on. They're not comfortable. They don't like their background. So listen, all these kids want is an equal chance and opportunity to get an education like everybody else. So if they have to have their camera off, as long as they're engaged and they bring details to the conversation, let the cameras be off and let us hear what they're saying, because the kids want the knowledge. So that's all for me right now.
That's all. That's it. That's right, though. Because there are children in different varying situations. Grandparents are taking care of them. Foster parents are taking care of them. You do not know their housing situation, and to be honest, unless you helping, it ain't none of your business. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It ain't none of your business.
I mean,
can you say that one more time for the people
you're
in
not
the other seat?
helping, actively participating and helping to elevate that housing situation, it ain't none of your business. Okay.
Thank you.
And so what? Yeah.
So one of my other concerns, what you're talking about, there was a host of other parents that came onto her site. Came onto her post, and they were posting photos of their kids and how beautiful their backgrounds look and how their children were enjoying online learning and how beautiful they were. Like, I prepared for my kids. They're dressed, they're in uniform, they're this. And I just felt like it was dividing parents, right? It was and it was divisive. And she would come back and be like, "Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. And I'm like, no, like, good for you, right? But that's just like me saying, oh, I drive a Mercedes and you you catch the bus. No, like, why are we doing that to anybody in the world, right? And
it's the nonverbal way of saying pick yourself up by your own bootstraps and you ain't got no boot. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't like the nonverbal messages because those could be a lot more harmful to our kids than things that people say sometimes, because they remember them. They have this image in their mind that of what they think they should aspire to be like, or what their life should be like, and they start to utilize that as a measurement tool, right?
Yeah.
Instead of teaching them to be unique in who they are, to thrive in who they are, to accelerate and achieve in who they are. You don't gotta live, and this is a message for the parents and the kids that had to endure that level of abuse, because that is abuse. Like, here's this kingdom over here, but look at where y'all live at, right? Don't accept that. You don't have to live in a mansion to be educated. There's a lot of fools in mansions today.
Yes, it is.
Right. Okay. we know that from all these movie stars who haven't been losing overnight, right?
Yes, it's people that are living in places that don't like their lives. You could be the happiest educated person in the smallest little place, not in this fancy highfalutin neighborhood, and do a lot. So don't let nobody put you down because of what you have or do not have.
And
because
even the teachers, even the teachers, the staff, the administrators,
horrible.
We need a whole new rubric. Do not have the same rubric, the same norms, the same things that applied while we were in the school. It has to be revamped and relooked at. And we had the whole summer to do that. You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna let her say that.
Okay. We had the whole summer and we didn't do that. We got these expectations and we shouldn't have those things. We should just be like, listen, we know what we need to do. Let's get these kids to the next level. We got so many students that are in dire need. I mean, just trying to give a 50-minute block or period or however, I don't know, every school is so different now. We go by blocks. Years ago when I was coming up, we had periods. But what I'm saying is that just trying to get these kids through these periods is enough. Like today, I had a student. Here we are. We're explaining we are explaining the assignment. 5 minutes, basically the period had ended and we were saying, okay, you guys can go ahead and log off. We're letting them log off early, because of the situation. And the one student, he had been on it for 40 minutes and he was like, okay, so wait a minute, what do I need to do? And I was like, wait a minute, we've been explaining this the whole time. But then I was like, okay. And we just sat down and we did it again because he said, I had to run outside. Now he had us on icons. So I didn't know he wasn't right there, but it was okay. Because when he came back, because he got his own life, he has a certain situation. So we have to accommodate for that. Okay, I'm still going to give him this information. Might not be as long as I could have when the period was going, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to give him that information that he needs so he can go on now and try to accomplish that. We just have to accommodate for our kids. We know that they're in a situation that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
I was just saying that we know that they're in these predicaments, the situation that they're in now is like no other. And they're at home with their baby siblings or family members, or maybe their mom, who knows what the situation is. But we just have to think outside of the norm, I guess, or what we were accustomed to, and accommodate to these students or children, because these kids are going to be great. The ones that we think are going to have issues or not doing with it, they are going to be the ones that have, beyond and they're going to persevere. So that's all I wanted to say. Go ahead.
And I'm so appreciative that you said that as an educator, right? Because the fact that you are willing to be autonomous with your class, like, and step back and say, okay, oh, somebody didn't get it, even if I done went through all this, let me make sure you get it. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. Making sure these babies get it, right? Making
Get it.
sure they get it.
That's it.
And if they not getting it, like it's hard to get it right now, period. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. And the spaces we've created, you know, and this pandemic has created, don't need to be convoluted with somebody scrutinizing. So I'll say this last snippet, and then I'm gonna turn it over to, because Christina has some information to share with us, and then I have a ask from our community here in Detroit. So also, this after her apology, she actually went on the board meeting this week, and she acted a fool on the board meeting. And she did not want parents to talk. She came back on the page and she was like, 5 minutes is too long to hear somebody and all. And it was like 1 minute, like what? But now she's requesting parents to sit down and talk with her. But it's because she's seeing how people are clapping back at her. She's seeing, and mind you, she wasn't just ostracizing parents, she was ostracizing educators who were saying they had a concern with things. And so it was just like, dude, I'm gonna need you to get off the board, get a grip, or get off the board. Like, you don't need to. And like we talked before we aired, the fact that you Black doing this, that even make it worse.
You
right?
know, seriously. And but that don't give you a pass either.
It don't.
Because if you come for us and our children, we're going to fight back.
Yeah.
And we're going to speak up. And that just goes to all of those people that say that, oh, it's only one-sided. No, it's not. Mm-hmm. Anybody that is not seeking the best interest of our children, we're going to speak up. We're going to fight against. We're going to oppose. Right? Yeah. It has. Yeah. That's across racial demographics, right? Yeah. And it's really unfortunate that she would defy the public trust in that way. See, here's the hypocrisy in it. Mm-hmm. For one, you say you want parent involvement, and then you try to delineate 5 minutes you get, right? And then you try to say, well, let's set up a virtual meeting. So basically what you're saying is you want parent involvement on your terms. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, okay, mm-hmm. You want it to be under your conditions. You want it to be under your control and in the way that you can maneuver and monopolize on that. And shame on you for doing that. Yeah. Because like Kelly is saying, as an educator, you got to meet people where they're at. No two people are the same. No two conditions are the same. There is no metric for, what does involvement look like? Is it the parent that is there sitting there? Then you'll call that parent a helicopter parent, right?
right. They were actually telling parents, like, let the babies be on Zoom, but then you because you don't see a parent in the background. And then, because you see a parent at a table that she said was smoking weed. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna need you to stop. While you ahead, I'm gonna need you to stop.
First of all, I want to know what the internet nexus is, because are some of these children under a 504 IEP, and are you sharing their public information and defying their FERPA rights? Okay, do not do that, because you don't even know if that child has federal protections to privacy, and you just shared information about a whole household that could be covered under federal disability acts and things like that. You're treading on some really a thin line. Okay, you don't expose things, because we don't know if the lady have cancer. I'm just being honest. I mean, you don't know what could be covered under that Privacy and Disability Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act, FERPA. You just expose some things that would be considered student recorded information. Right?
So you got some legal documents you want to share, right?
I do.
Go ahead, let's talk about it.
Okay, so would you like for me to share the letter? Okay, so let's go to, basically, I want to first of all show you the legislature in Michigan legislature. Okay, we're going to do that first, and then tell you how you can get involved.
Yep.
So this right here is the Judicature Act of 1961. It's a revised part. Like I said before when I was talking about homeschooling on Tuesday in the state of Michigan, always look at what date is being shown, right? You want to know when is the last time they updated this. Okay, you can see that in the right-hand corner. It says right here, it's, you know, it's pretty up to date. They're paying attention. It's showing times and things, right? And so right here, you'll see the section number. So if you look up MCL section 600.2911 in your Google search, this will come up. These are the consequences for slander and libel, okay? It delineates what it is. I'm not gonna go into 1 through 8, but I want you to know what that is and what that involves and the consequences for such. But more so, what I want you to know is that these consequences do apply to public officials, right? I was more disappointed to find out that not only was she a school board member, whether she's elected or appointed, it doesn't matter to me, but it was also stated that she's a pastor, okay? Now, I would like to know if some of the information that is being exposed during school board meetings about parents has been shared with her by parishioners privately, okay? Where is she getting her data from? Is there substantial truth, right? She has no substantial truth argument to say that she's investigated these things and that it's absolute. She cannot protect herself against defamation. You can't defy the public good by, on the one hand, being a pastor who people look up to and trust with private information, private situations, vulnerable situations, and then utilize that in your public title as a public official and a school board member to defame them. And then go back and try to retrieve them to trust you. The three do not coexist, okay? I will tell you some things coexist, but when you break the trust bond, it is up to you to gather it back. And that is not the way you do it, by flip-flopping. One day you're talking about, the parents in a bad way, then you preaching, I don't know, from your pulpit on Sunday, and then, you come back and let's have a chat.
Yeah. And now what she's doing this week, she's not made a complaint, but what she keeps doing is sharing the parents. The parents are saying, like, oh my God, I'm so glad. Like today she shared one. I'm so glad it's Friday. This homeschooling has been terrible for me. So she's sharing those type of posts under her, like she's sharing it onto that page. So she's not complaining. She's sharing what parents are complaining. So
yeah, what I found out is that the monopolizers and controllers got group of parents that they monopolize and control too, right? They have their parents with their highly polished talking points, okay? Because when they see that their parent bashing hasn't worked anymore, guess what? They got a group of writers just like we do, right? They got a group of ride or dies just like we do, okay? And so it's okay, because the truth is that that digital fingerprint through those screenshots are still there. And so even if they have their group of parents that are willing to come out and say all these wonderful things, the truth is still the truth. The parents know what is real and legitimate and what is not, okay? So you can no longer bamboozle and seduce the authentic voices of parents away, okay? Because I will tell you that we are recognizing, and there is a great parent awakening. Thank you. This is the parent gospel truth. I don't know about what truth you talking about on Sunday. Okay? The truth will set you free. And I'm so disappointed, to hear that someone would utilize their position in that manner. That is not okay. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna speak directly to you as that Corletta. Apparently you missed Isaiah 61 as a charge and Luke 4, because when I read it, it says mend the brokenhearted, bring good news to the poor, and set at liberty all of those who are captive. Okay. And in Luke 4, and I'm preaching right now, I'm sorry, y'all. And in Luke 4, it says specifically, Jesus spoke about Isaiah 61. Today I have fulfilled that this prophecy. That's the work of the church. That's the work of the body. True and perfect religion, caring for orphans and widows in their time of need. And then you want to go and bash the same people you're supposed to be caring for. What is your certification and licensing say, and your oath maybe that you took under your ministerial certification and licensing process? And can the parents revoke that? Yeah. Because it is not okay to use a title or a position and say you're a godly authority to do such, or you're doing the same thing the slave master did. Okay. Now, we're going to go. I'm gonna get off of that soapbox because I can go into that real deep.
Stay on it. Stay on it. We got about 7 more minutes. Stay on it. I invite you to stay on it. I do.
You see my thing right here? The righteous are as bold as a lion. You might want to read that Proverbs 28:1, because when the parents start speaking up, that means that they're using their boldness, their audacity, whatever they can to voice their concerns, needs, and desires within this broken education system. And if you want to come out and lie to people and say that this education system is not broken, then I don't know what twilight zone you living in.
Wow.
And it's definitely not kingdom work. And so I will drop these laws and elements of defamation and character, but really what I want you guys to be doing as parents, community leaders, families, is not to tolerate things like this. Okay. You have to draw a line in the sand that creates healthy boundaries. Do not continue to allow toxicity in your homes, in your environments, right? Don't let people continue to try to push you down when you know that you're doing everything that you possibly can. Because what I would like to know is, where's their money that they got for the last year or so? And prior to that, because if you have special education students in your district who you cannot supply adequate reading programs for, that are brain-based, researched models with proven efficacy, and you want to come out and talk about somebody's dirty house, clean up your dirty house first. And I got evidence on that. Okay. And so, you know, really, parents, I want you take this to your families where you're at right now. Take this to your neighbors, and you say, enough. This is the and I'm sorry, I'm gonna get to the letter. I'm in my mailbox. Hold on, let me stop sharing. Okay. And if we had, you know, more time, then, you know, but I want the parents
I think we could still a few more minutes. So
okay, yeah.
I had a letter right here.
Y'all know how I get. Don't invite don't invite me, because I can get in the door, but sometimes I don't get invited back, and that's okay, because I've been kicked out of some better places. You know what I mean? Not this place, but you know what I mean. So this is going to be the official notice. I saw that some parents, and I've been following this, had wanted to talk about a recall, right? And you know what? That's within their rights to ask for a recall. If she was appointed, then ask for her to be removed. The same way the person got appointed, same way they could be removed. And if you feel that she is not adequately serving you and your children well, then you know what? And if she's defying your privacy, your trust, you're good, right? Look at the history and what has she done. And then don't just take it from her. Start asking all of them, show up and do something or step down. Are we going to do the recall process? Period. Here's the letter. It's a cease and desist, libel, slander, and defamation of character. Take this, sign it. It's online. We have added every portion of the law, which I was showing you. You know, also let it also be known that rulings, notices, and damage by public officials in these areas of legislation are delineated and defined. Just in case anyone has a question, right here it says, public officials, the person who is in a position of such apparent importance that the public has an independent interest in his qualifications or performances beyond the general public interest. It shows you, I'm just summing it up. And then there's also what is called a limited purpose public figure, who voluntarily injects themselves or is drawn into a particular public controversy, right? So it delineates those roles and responsibilities, and it shows case law on those things, right? And so at the bottom, your petition is saying, we the parents believe you have used slander and libel against us and defamed our character during public comments made. These comments have been recorded, which they have, documented, and collated in such a manner that we do not hold that you have a defense of fair and true reporting or a claim of substantial truth used. I showed you right here that those could be claims held against defamation, but because of the fact that you guys have those recordings and things like that, you don't find that she holds that claim to state that as a protection to herself, right?
Yeah.
Let me start sharing again because sometimes my screen gets a little bit wonky. So let's go back to the petition, and I'll let you good people go on a Good Friday like today.
While you're doing that, I want to ask a quick question. Both of you ladies are very intelligent. You know how to write the legislations. I got so much great information from the both of you when I got ready to do mine. My question is, and I'm sure a lot of parents would want to know this, when you get ready to write these things and you send them out, how long does it take or before you get a response?
You know,
so can I start something? Can I say something right quick though?
Yeah.
What I want all parents to know, and this right here, I do want to be very clear. This is not a push that NPU is trying to gain traction or anything, or Bernita Bradley is trying to gain traction for my name. Nothing, right? This is about the reality that parents have been defamed and they have been hurt and insulted, and not just myself, but parents have called for a recall for Corletta Vaughn in the last week and a half, right?
And I've been following that.
And she's been following that. And I alluded Christina to it because I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. But the main reason why I did allude Christina to it is because of the fact she is our policy writer for the National Parent Union. And to make sure that I'm covering all corners, when I put something out there, I go to Christina. And there's some knowledge that I have, and there's some research that she makes me do on once she's like, go make sure you do A, B, C, D, E, right? But what it is, National Parent Union is creating this toolkit for families, for the public, to know how to write policies, to know where to look up things, to know how to write letters. And this toolkit will literally be out there for people who says, you know, my school board ain't treating me right, or, you know, my child's school is not, or I didn't get my services properly. Like, you may not be totally connected to Christina, but what Christina and National Parent, what we're doing as a delegate group is setting parents up for success. So that if you want to advocate for yourself, or if you want to advocate for your whole city, here's a toolkit for you right now, right? Just so happened Corletta done fell into this toolkit that we've been creating. I'm sorry, Corletta.
You know, well, we gonna pray for her. You know, look, we gonna pray for her. Hopefully she just stumbled into it. It didn't really fall. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I got a little bit of faith that maybe it's just a little stumbling, you know, and I think, you know, it's, you know, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Okay. So anyway,
I ain't got
I'm not
gonna
Kelly, here is what the cease and desist order looks like. Typically, I like to just do more than, and I advise you parents, I've done this for my children, right? When I heard of them, people were talking about them on school campuses, and I didn't give you permission because you're not even a teacher. Don't be in the break room talking about me and my kids because I'm advocating for them.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear.
And don't push my advocacy away. Don't
Right.
dismiss my advocacy. I have a right to
Right.
advocate for my children.
Exactly.
These parents who are on that page, they have a right to advocate for what they need for their kids. And for you to try to push them back, you are stopping their right, their legal right.
Well, then you gotta think of who sent you. Identify yourself. That's a whole nother topic on a whole nother day. Me as a, I used to work in public education. I know it happens. People need in the education system need to stop denying that they defaming parents. Okay, I know it happens. It's not okay. Sometimes the other teachers in that space are not comfortable with the fact that you're defaming the parents for taking up for themselves. Why? Because they can identify with the situation that the parent is advocating on behalf of, right? They've seen things go down. And so, the first thing I would like to say is included in this letter is not only the fact that we find it, and you guys as the public have stated this in your public, outcries for her to stop. You didn't find it just disappointing that she did it as a public school board member, but also as a minister. And again, that is hideous. We do better, right? So in the actions, for the public good and the common good and for the children, and to be in an environment conducive of learning and support and collaboration. If you really mean collaboration, burden of proof is on you. Don't just collaborate with parents in fancy spaces with fancy titles. Collaborate with everyday folks, and that's what we can do, okay? So here's the demands. And if the activities don't stop, I know the parents are positioned to do a recall or demand for step down. Which is necessary. It's time for changes to be made. Like Kelly said earlier, the education landscape has been changed. Traditional education has already been disrupted as you've known it. And there's no rubric for what's happening. So I want you guys to feel equipped and comfortable and continue to speak up and continue to fight back. If your only means of being able to speak up and fight back is to do it on the social media, which apparently, they're watching and clapping back on, do that. Expose the truth, okay? And National Parents Union is here to bring the authentic voice of parents surrounding quality education. Please reach out to any one of us you see on here or on our page. We're here to help you guys. So I'll stop sharing.
And don't stop sharing. Don't stop sharing.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
scroll down for me? Can you scroll down for me? So, we do have to go, but I do want families to know that this petition is online, and what we are asking people to do is sign.
I sent it in the comment field while you were talking.
Oh, thank you. So we're asking people to sign on to this. So a simple sign on just means, if you scroll down, Christina, is that people would put their names, you will put a zip code, email address. If you are a Detroit resident, you do not have to be a resident to sign this letter, because we want to show the transparency across the board of anybody who's been impacted by this. And then we are asking for you to leave your own additional comments for Detroit Public Schools Board, Community District School Board. And so those comments and those questions or whatever will go to the board. I will make sure that they go to the board in an email. This has been sent out via email. I would love for anybody who would like to share this as far and wide as you would like to. Black, white, Hispanic, whatever culture, whatever economic status you come from, share your thoughts. If you agree, please click yes. If you don't agree, please click no. If you like to share that, like, I want genuine voice. I don't want people just to sign on just because I'm Bernita Bradley or this is National Parent Union. I want you to sign on because it is most definitely imperative that we advocate for what we need as community. We advocate from and push back on people who are trying to prevent that advocacy. You do not get to stifle our voices. You do not get to make us feel as if we are some miscreants who are filling some seats for you. Baby, our children are the most prized possessions we have, and you will not infiltrate our homes or our spaces and make us feel bad about who we are and the attempts we are making. Just like you keep asking for permission and grace about educators and what they have to do, you are going to give us permission and grace as well. And we are coming for you. I want you to understand that. This is not a Bernita mission. This is a mission from parents and parent voice. Parent voice matters. And I want to constantly remind people that Corletta Vaughn would not even have a seat had it not been for parents going to Lansing, fighting for years to get a board back in the city of Detroit. Corletta Vaughn would not have a possibility of speaking about the school boards if it were not for parents who navigated this process and went to Lansing and raised heck and high water. I wanted to say something else, but I'm trying to be Christianly, okay?
Okay.
This would not be possible. I would like for Dr. V constantly to be reminded, you would not have a job had it not been for parents who navigated these systems and said what we want to happen and what we don't want to happen. Remember, parents have the power. And unless you're working with us, you're working against us. So from here moving forward, we need Corletta Vaughn, as this letter says, to cease and desist all comments, all negative annotation towards parent and parent involvement, and know that we are coming for you. Thank you. You guys have a beautiful—
And that's the righteous thing to do. Can you let the people know if, okay, well, I'll just let you guys know. If you need any part of our understanding around the law, the cease and desist order, what does that mean? What does that mean for my area? If I'm not, can I do that too, right? How can I do that? You can reach out to us at National Parents Union, Christina at npunion.org. Kelly, you might want to share your information. Definitely here to help you understand. I want you to know your rights in order to adequately advocate for them, right? The more you know, right? And I will break it down for you. What does it mean?
Yep. Kelly,
thanks for having me,
Bernita. Information. You're very welcome.
And the same here. I just want parents to know that you have rights. If I had known that so many years ago, my life totally would have taken a different turn. So, you just have to know your rights. And again, if anyone wants to reach out to me, it's Kelly, Kelley, at npunion.org. But I probably will, once they reach out to me, I'm going to send them to one of you.
No, you not. You got your own group of people to reach.
Don't say that, sister, because you know what?
They reach out to you, baby, it's because they need you.
Yes,
we all got our others.
In other words, I just want you guys to know, both of you, how appreciative I am, and so I know the people that are in your areas are reaching out to you guys, and because you guys have so much knowledge. I'm growing with the knowledge. I'm understanding the language. I'm getting it. But you guys rock, and so I'm just happy. I was humble. I'm sitting right here with y'all today. This is great.
Whatever,
we love you, sis, and that's why we're gonna come out with this.
Don't discount your greatness. Right. I swear.
We're gonna have this toolkit that's gonna help you guys. So we love y'all.
Yeah. So love y'all. Y'all have a beautiful, blessed weekend. Please share this show. Share the Google Doc. I'll also be sharing it on my page and several other pages across the city of Detroit. And we love you. Have a blessed day and enjoy your weekend.
All right.
Peace.